So anyway, I'm very excited to talk to Miss Lauren. Well,
Hi.
hello.
What's up, Phil?
I don't know it. What's up with you?
Nothing. I'm really glad that Phil reminded me because I was about to go to sleep and take all my makeup off, and that would have been weird. I would have been
Like
like,
half your makeup. I'm
yeah,
kind of doing. We could have done a new makeup tutorial midstream.
we
It's all
could
right.
have. You
We're
know what? That's not
flexible.
a bad idea.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to have you on.
Thank
Are
you
you?
for having me.
Yeah. Are you feeling a little bit better?
Not as good as I thought. I thought antibiotics would make me feel like so much better, and then my mom's like, "You should be feeling better." I'm like, "No, I'm not." I'm
Uh,
definitely better than like 2 days ago, but
yeah.
not
Well,
100% yet.
I mean, at least you weren't sick when you were hanging out down at Times Square. That would have been
That is very true. That is very true. It gave me like it was like the next day, just like bam.
bad. Maybe all the germs of Times Square caused
I'm
it.
100% sure that that's what it is. 100%. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I'm super excited to have you on here. I've been inspired by your journey for a long time since I
Thank
started my
you.
camera, and we can talk about you being a rock star and all that in a little bit. Woo! But anyway, first of all, I want to kind of start back where it all started, and then we'll just go from there. And I want to talk about a few things. For one, I want to talk about how you handle food and all that, and then how you handle activity and mindset and all those things. So we'll go through all that. But I really want us to know like where you were when you thought, hey, WW is something I could try, and what you felt like you needed and why you thought it would work. So just start back from
So,
the beginning.
sure. So I've actually been on and off WW for this in 2020 will be my 20th year.
Wow.
So I'm not like a new WW person at
And you're like
all.
19 years old, right? So
Yeah, I'm 19. Yeah, thank you. 34. So when I was 14
wow.
back in 2000, you were allowed to go to WW as a teenager as long as your parent like signed off for you or something like that.
Okay.
So my best friend who lived down the street, her mother was a lifetime member of WW. So she took us to her meetings with her, and we would just go, and it was like this whole routine that we had where we would go and we'd weigh in, we'd sit with the meeting, and then after that, next door was this place called Joey's Pizza. It's still open. They have the best pizza ever. And we would go get a slice of pizza, and then next door on the other side was this old store. I don't think it's open anymore. It's called Mandy's, and we'd go and buy smaller clothes like when
Yeah.
we lost weight. So it was a really fun thing that we did together. And I didn't really have a ton of weight to lose. I was always like chubby per se,
Okay.
like, you know, like never like super overweight, but I had a very, very thin twin brother. So I always felt like the bigger one. And
Yeah.
all my girlfriends at the time were very, very thin. Like I just happened to be in a group of girls that were super skinny and naturally skinny. It wasn't like they were trying to be skinny. And so I always a little bit self-conscious. So that was something that I did just to kind of help me with my relationship with food. And it was great. And I lost the weight that I wanted to lose. And I went into like ninth grade feeling really great about how I looked. And then I kind of just used those tools and things, like kind of carried that over for a while. And I maintained my healthy weight through high school. And then even in the first couple of years of college, I was relatively thin. Back the thinnest I've ever was in my life was when I was like 21 years old.
Okay.
And then as I got a little bit older, you know, your metabolism slows down and you can't eat like a college kid anymore. And, you know, and I put a lot of weight on, and I became the heaviest I had ever been in my life. And then I got back on WW and I lost 70 pounds.
Wow.
So yeah. And then I maintained that for a little while, and then I gained it all back. So that's my thing, is that, and I spoke about this when I went to the WW studio, what's it called, the WW headquarters, and I told my story there.
Yeah.
One of the things I talked about was that what I've learned, and especially this trip with WW, this last like turn of doing WW, is that I can't just do WW for like a little while and then stop.
Yeah.
I need to be a lifetime member, and I'm so grateful that I am a lifetime member now, because before I did that, I just thought I could stop and start, and I need this accountability for life. Like I'm the kind of person where if I'm left to my own devices, I'm going to be overweight. Like
Yeah.
I need that like check in.
Yeah.
So that's what. And then after I had my first son, I gained a lot of weight with that pregnancy, and I lost 50 pounds after I had my first son on WW. And then I believe that actually helped me get pregnant with my second son, which was great. But
Yeah.
then in the middle of my second pregnancy, I lost my dad, which was a big blow. And I kind of I wasn't on WW because I was pregnant.
Mhm.
And I kind of fell back onto those old habits that I had. And then I gained 80 pounds. So I'm like the classic yo-yo dieter. And
Wow.
I'm trying really hard. It's taken me 34 years, but now I think that I'm going to be like nipping that in the bud.
Yeah.
And now that it's lifetime, I have to check in. And now that I've built up this big, huge, amazing, incredible community, it's really holding me accountable way more than anything else ever has. So that's
Yeah.
my story, Morning Glory.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And like, I feel like that you could add up all of that, and it's like
I've lost
300
like
pounds.
a couple feet. Yeah, I've lost like a trucker.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, like a big man.
Oh Lord. So
Every time I lose weight, it's like a fifth grader.
yeah.
It's like 70, 80 pounds. Yeah.
So you mentioned like really loving the community and having the app and all this stuff. So when those things start to slip on there, like what causes you to slip now? Like, I mean, obviously it is a valid reason for you to have lost your dad and like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
to go through that. But like what is it for you when you start to slip a little bit? What is it?
Mostly, I think I'm like an emotional eater, you know,
Okay.
and I like to turn to. I don't like to now, but I used to turn to food as like a comfort,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And food has always been something, you know. When you celebrate, there's food. When you are happy, there's food. When you're sad, there's food. There's always food, and that, you know, I wish I was one of those people that, you know, when they are stressed out, they don't eat, you know, and they lose their appetite. I'm not that person. I just am like a bottomless pit. And like all I want are carbs and whatever, and it's hard. But I think it's like the other layer of my whole journey this time was that I had going to therapy, which I talk about a lot in my stories. Is that I added that, and that has really changed my whole outlook. And I've realized that like there's so many other things you can do when you're stressed out, and that like, and the one thing I've said before is that like, if hunger isn't the problem, food isn't the solution.
Yeah.
You have to figure out like how you can kind of, you know, go take a walk, go call a friend, whatever. And I'm not perfect with that still. It's still something I'm working on, but it's definitely like I have a lot going on right now. And it's like, if this was me last year before I started therapy and before I started working on myself, I would probably be up 20 pounds since October. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've maintained, and when I do feel like I'm kind of falling back, which last week, you know, I had my birthday celebration and everything, I felt like I was slipping back, and I came to the community and I was like, listen guys, I'm struggling right now.
Yeah.
Like, hold my feet to the fire. Like, I need to start tracking, and, you know, and then just knowing that there's other people that are like, I'm having a hard time too. Let's do this together. And I've got like 100 messages of people just being like so cool with like, you know, I'm feeling the same way. And you know, when you feel like you're not alone in something, it makes it easier to be like, you know, or someone that tells you, hey, I've gone through this too. You know, like I got through it because I just started tracking again. And like something as simple as that can make you feel like you can just get right back on track. So
Absolutely. I mean, that's really one of the keys is staying in the app. And everyone is, I think, I say everyone, but I believe almost everyone is going to be getting an email from WW, especially people that have been on WW any period of time in 2019 that talks about their year.
I just got that, but I didn't open it yet.
So tomorrow is National Recommitters Day, and so it's like a big deal. And so I really believe that seeing that data for the people that have been doing this for a little while, it should really show you a good snapshot of your year. Yeah. And I feel like that when we have those opportunities to go back to those things and you sense that moment, but then you choose to do something different, that for me, what I call those are what's the word I use all the time? I'm forgetting my word, but anyway, we have a measurable. We call those an unmeasurable, and that's what I call those unmeasurable, because you never know when you're going to have a better response to a circumstance, and especially like this week in workshops, we're talking about controlling your environment and stuff, and I think that's one thing that we have to do, like with food prep and all the things. When you're in the car, when you're at work, you know, you can't control life events that happen to you. You know, you mentioned about your dad and that kind of stuff. That's going to happen. But how you respond to it, and now that you've been through that moment, maybe you know that, well, when I did that this time, I started to have the whole I don't care mentality or whatever. And I don't necessarily have to do that. I
Right,
can
exactly.
grieve and I can go through this moment, and whatever it is,
Yeah.
it could be a serious thing or it could be a silly thing that causes us to jump off track. So what do you think is one of the things that causes you to center back in, and beyond the community? You mentioned that, but like personally, like within
Yeah.
yourself.
I think that it's like at this point, I'm feeling really proud of myself that
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten to where I'm at, and the fact that I did finally, after all these years of doing WW over and over and over again, and I'd always get so close to goal, or I'd hit goal and kind of be like, I don't really feel like doing the going to meetings thing or whatever, and I'd fall off the wagon again.
Yeah.
And so this time, the fact that I decided I was going to do it, I stuck with it. I went through maintenance through the holidays. Like that makes me feel really proud because
Yeah.
I feel like anybody getting through the holidays, it's hard. And then being able to maintain the same weight for all that time, and like, I'm proud of that. So I think that, I'm not going to just, like I said yesterday, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like I
Yeah.
can't just be like, oh, shit's getting really hard, and now I'm going to just shove food in my face, because I
Yeah.
know that that's not the answer. That's not
Yeah.
going to fix anything. And then I'm going to have another problem because I'm
Yeah.
going to be stressed out with life, and then I'm going to be stressed out because my jeans don't fit
Yeah.
and I feel uncomfortable, or I'm whatever. And I never ever want to get back to the place where I was before, because I was extremely
Yeah.
unhealthy, and I was having health issues on top of like just being like out of breath. I was having like heart issues and all this, and I have a bad family hit. Like my genes genetically, like I am up against it. Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone in my family has had cancer. My dad had like cancer literally 4 times before he finally passed away from cancer. It was awful. So, and then my grandpa at my dad's side died of a heart attack at 51. And that is like, oh, that's not that far away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my sister, I have an older sister who's 47, and she had like a cardiac, like a mild heart attack, or like, I don't know what they're calling it, like a cardiac incident kind of thing. And she had that right in the beginning of 2019, right when I was starting over. Like, and I mean,
Yeah.
I had been tracking for a year after I had Nick, but I was kind of not giving it my all. I was
Mm-hmm.
go up, I go down. So when I recommitted was when she had that thing, because that really scared me. And I was
Yeah.
like, I can't. So now it's more than just I want to look a certain way. Now it's like, you're older, you can't be like messing around with being like morbidly obese or obese. Like
Yeah.
you have to, rein it in and be healthy, because I have 2 kids now, and there's more at stake now than there ever was before. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I say all the time that, for one, being overweight is a symptom of what's going on.
100%. I say that too. I
Yeah.
completely agree with
Yeah.
that.
So when you can say that, and then you understand what I'm saying when you say that, you can also go to the far end of that and say that weight loss is not the solution. It is part of the solution.
Yeah.
But it is not the end all be all, because you and people like me, where I've lost a lot of weight previously and then gone back up, and like without the mindset change, I had zero mindset change. Like, you're saying that you lost 50 pounds, 80 pounds previous to what you've lost now. What you're telling WW, and WW is celebrating, you've done this before. Our other friends, Anthony's done the same thing before, lost the weight and gained the weight back. Like, it's so key. So what, for you, like, I know a lot of people would say it's attached to kind of their why, and like, what is your deeper digging into your why? You obviously would do it for your kids, do it for your health, and that kind of stuff. But what is your far-reaching why?
Well, one thing I wanted to say, just to piggyback on what you just said before I tell you that, is that someone messaged me one time and they said something so profound, and I reposted it, but I don't know if everybody caught it, so I'll just say it again.
Okay.
Someone said, it's talking about fixing upstairs, right? You have to work on your mental health, and you have to work on like the reason why you gain the weight, like you said. So they I guess went to therapy or something, and their therapist said something like, if you had a hole in your roof and it ruined the carpet on the 2nd floor, what would you fix first, the carpet or the hole in the roof? And I'm like, well, okay, like that is so true. Like, so for me, I think that like you said, working on other areas of my life and working on reducing stress, working on learning how to deal with when things come up in my life that I have a hard time with, taking time for myself, all the things that I wasn't doing before, that was causing me to feel a certain way that would lead me to overeat.
Yeah.
So now it's very important because that was a dark time for me. Like I was in a very low spot right before I started back on recommitted. I'd say in like the late winter, early spring of 2019. I was in a very like rock bottom feeling about myself. I was stretched so thin. I had not had a day off away from a child in like over like 3 years. I was like, it was rough, and I was just feeling like exhausted mentally, physically, all of that. I was so overweight. I was uncomfortable, all the things. So like just reflecting back on that, I never want to be back in that place again.
Yeah.
So it's more than like, yeah, of course I want to be healthy for my children. Of course I want to, you know, just be healthy overall, but like I don't want to feel like that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever feel like I'm not taking care of myself, because I finally realized that I'm important just as much as taking care of my kids is important. And I'm not going to be worth a damn to them if I'm not taking care of myself. So I think that that's the big thing, is that like, this is the one thing I can do for myself, and it's not that hard to do. You know what I mean? It doesn't take away from anyone else.
Yeah.
And it's something I have to do every day anyway. I have to eat. So I'm not doing anything extra. I'm just focusing on making good choices. And that in turn is making me feel better about myself because I'm taking care of myself. So I think that's pretty much.
Absolutely. And like the crazy thing for me when I look at it and I see the way, like if you just lined out food, like food that I previously would eat. For one, I used to eat some bad foods, and I used to eat foods at wrong times, and I used to eat too much food. Yeah. But it was never like this massive amount. It was never, it wasn't like I was eating 5,000 calories a day or something like that. So dialing it back in kind of brought me back within that healthy range, and I'm like right in that healthy eating zone of what WW says. And I'm not a restriction person. I'm never going to be eating on the low end of that kind of thing. But what the funny thing to me is when you really get really micro on this thing, it's very, very small amount that you move the needle back over onto this side of it so you can lose a little bit of weight each and every week. Yes. And then I'm 2 years in, and it's like just over a pound and 2.2 or something, 1.2 pounds that I've lost if you average it out over the weeks. Like it's not a massive amount. There's you know, it's just a sustainable way. And if I stay healthy in that zone, that's when the weight loss comes off. But that doesn't take monumental, crazy effort. And that's one of the great things about this is like, actually what I need to do is like not try as hard. Yeah. And so for my first year,
people overthink it. Don't you feel that? Yeah. Like people are like, I feel like when someone has a bad day, they're like, it's like, no, and I always say this, we're playing the long game here. Yeah. Like at the grand scheme of things, even if you lost 1 pound a week, even if you lost half a pound a week, like 1 pound a week is still over 50 pounds in a year. That's, if you didn't do anything a year from now, you'd wish that you did 1 pound a week. Yeah.
And most likely, like, unless you were like really, really big like me, if you did that success rate, you couldn't even do that for 4 years. It'd be be like way down there. Like, oh my gosh. So, I mean, like, I'm super happy with the way that the program is working for me. And I've really got to the point to where I don't really mess with the number anymore. It's like, for me, I know that if I do the work, and I'm on Blue Dot heaven here, because Saturday will be my 2-year anniversary of Blue Dots every day.
Wow.
2 years. And
I am in
so that's crazy to think about.
No, that is really amazing to me. Yeah. Like I was a Blue Dotter for a long time, but then it's hard when I feel like with maintenance for me it was hard. And then you get a little lax, and I'm feeling like I'm slip sliding out of that Blue Dot range. But I do think that I had the most success, and I felt the best when I did the Blue Dots. Yeah. So that inspires me, and I think I'm going to try to get back in that. Yeah, you can still use your weeklies when you're getting a Blue Dot, but it's like controlling it. And I think that that's the problem, is that because I can tend to be an all or nothing kind of person, where I'm like really good at it, and I'm going to be perfect. Or I'm like eating 4 pieces of cheesecake in 24 hours. You know what I mean? Like. So that's my problem. And I feel like when I'm overweight, it's just a lot of those overkill days more often than not, But I think that allowing yourself to pepper in some weeklies here and there, and that way you feel like you're not feeling restricted or whatever, but you're still controlling that, because I think a lot of us have that problem of that, like, I don't want to say like binge eating in terms of like an eating disorder or whatever. Maybe some people it is. But like, I think that like, you know, especially if you feel restricted for a really long time, then when you have that, like, that package of Oreos that your mother-in-law brought over for the kids, and you're sitting there and you're like, I haven't had an Oreo in so long, I'm gonna have 15 of them. You know, that is so easy to do. But if you are allowing yourself to have 2 Oreos a night before bed, when someone brings something like that in, you're like, I had an Oreo yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And the coolest part about it is, even if you like had done 6 months of really, really solid tracking, and maybe you were abstaining from a lot of that bad stuff, just a little small stuff here and there, and then that day happens when you lose it, and you end up eating, you know, 2 of the runs of the 3 sleeves of Oreos or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The truth is, and this is like Jordan Syatt kind of stuff, is your body is not going to absorb all that. Your body is going to like run that right on through, and you're going to have some super duper bathroom time. You know, that's just the great part about it. As you get healthier, your body is healthier too, and it knows how to process that. It doesn't immediately say 17 pounds on the booty. You know?
Yeah, because I think once you're down, it's so true. And once you're down to a certain, I remember this from talking to friends of mine who, like, I have a friend who does like nutrition kind of stuff. And he always talks about how when you lose weight, like if you can maintain that weight, and some people are so mad about plateaus, and plateaus are actually not a bad thing. Yeah. Because sometimes your body needs to reset their top weight. So if you're staying at you're like, I just can't get past 152. That's your body like resetting to that being your like go-to gain weight and get to 152 rather than your go-to gain weight is 188. You know what I mean? So like, don't be mad about plateaus at all. No, I think that you're right, because when you have one of those overtrack, you know, you overdo it, whatever days, like I'm telling you, I've been on plan. I've been maintaining over the holidays, whatever. They're literally on my birthday from Friday night into Saturday, 4 pieces of cheesecake, y'all. That must have been 5,000 calories. I'm not even joking. Like, and they weren't small pieces of cheesecake either. Yeah. And I went to dinner and I had a full fat cheeseburger and I had fries and everything. I was just going balls to the wall. And guess what? On Monday I weighed myself. I weighed the same. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing that I did that. Yeah. That's not a good thing. But I did it, and I you know, but I'm moving on. I'm right back on track. Yeah. And that's what you have to do.
You know, and what's funny is, like, I've had a conversation with Gary, the chief science officer, and we were on a meeting talking, and I asked him about this, and he said in the future, once they can figure out all of the crazy stuff, that just this simple thing, and I've talked about it before, and it's not, I'm not saying that he confirmed it or nothing like that, but I'm not trying to speak for him, but what I'm saying is, like, if the idea does happen in the future, I talked about it way back when, that we should have something called mindset points. We track fit points, we track smart points. Why can't we track mindset points? Because if you do something that is amazing, you should reward yourself for it. Like, you should either, I'm not saying you should reward yourself with food. Maybe you should reward yourself in buying something, or maybe you should reward yourself with just kudos, or, you know, balloons popping. But like, the idea that we can do the mental work, we definitely need to have a reward for that. And it's very, very exciting when you see that response that's so healthy. Because I had decades of poor responses to opportunities to live healthy.
Yeah, I completely understand. And I think that, like, but I think that it should definitely be geared away from rewarding ourselves with food, because I think something that we tend to go to, and like, I'm 100% like, well, I've been doing so well, so I think it's okay that I go and eat blah. And I don't think that, because I think that puts like a good and bad on food, and I don't think that should be it. I think that if you want something, make it work into your day. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that, but I love the idea of, like, you feel like you're getting your shit together, and you're feeling better about yourself, and now you're like logging that, like, make a good choice, even if it's something as simple as, like, you can, you know, you like a picture, you can add a tally to your number of times that you've made a good choice, something like that, that's a visual representation of that. I think that's a great idea. You know what I mean? Absolutely.
And the truth is, and I say this frequently, it's these moments where you're navigating safely through. You don't want to carry home too much regret of the, I didn't eat it, but I wanted it. I regret that moment. Or the shame of, I ate it, but I shouldn't have ate it. Like, that regret and shame, you're navigating through that. And to do that, I've got kind of the first level and then the second level of that. The fruit of that is your response and how you do that. But
Yeah.
maybe we need to do the mental work and get beyond that and dig to the root of that. And the
Yeah.
root of that is say, I need to sit here and I figure out, if I do this, what will the response be? If I do this, will I be happy? Will it bring me joy? If it brings me joy, what about it brought me joy? That's a lot of mental work to do that.
Yeah.
But once we do that and we get used to being that engaged in our day, it really makes the decision of you mindlessly getting up and walking to the pantry and mindlessly grabbing even a healthy snack, because there's times when healthy snacks are calories. Like
Absolutely.
if you've got to that thin razor line of your healthy eating zone, and now you're going to go and eat an apple or a third apple for the day, or a banana,
calories,
and that's going to push you calorically over there. Like you have to be able to figure out how to do that. And so that's why it's so important to me to really engage with my day and understand that there's reasons that I have to tell myself, even 2 years into this journey. It's funny that I have this conversation with myself every week. I leave my WW workshop, which is like 11 o'clock, and it ends at 11:45. But the drive home is right down this road that has every restaurant in humanity on it.
Yeah.
And it's like a 15-minute drive. And I always, when I get home, I'm like ravishingly hungry. It's so easy to choose to drive into any one of those restaurants, even the good restaurants, Chipotle and Chick-fil-A and all the ones that I could make work. But the better thing is always drive home and eat the food that I've planned.
Yes.
And so that's the kind of stuff that I have to dig in and figure out what is that thing within me that pops its head up. Like, you ever feel like you have one of those things that, like, ooh, that thing, that is an old habit. Get out of me.
Oh, you know? Yeah. My big thing when I was heavier was was a closet eater. So I would go to the drive-thru and I would go to, I haven't eaten in a fast food restaurant in I don't know how long. And most of it is because I don't want anybody to see what I'm eating when I'm eating at a fast food restaurant. You know what I mean? Like, I need to be in the privacy of my own car. Yeah. So I would go through the drive-thru. I'd be like, yeah, what do you guys want? There's nobody in the back seat. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be ordering all my food, and then I'd be sitting in the parking lot of the fast food restaurant, shoveling food in my face. And I would do that all the time. And now, like, you know, it is very hard because it's convenience. It's convenience. And so I think that part of me, like, now when I'm trying to get back on, I say back on track, but it's not like I was really that off, but I haven't been honest tracking. And I'm a big proponent of, like, honest tracking, every bite, lick, and taste, because people that are telling me I'm tracking everything and I'm just not losing any weight, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you don't have a thyroid problem and you're actually following the program and not losing weight, it's because more than likely you're probably having a bite, finishing your kids' food, you're, you know, not measuring, your eyeballing portions, that kind of a thing, because all those little things add up. And that is what I saw the most when I started tracking, because I was like, oh crap, this weight is flying off of me. And I didn't think I was making that big of a change in what I was eating. It was more of like, now I'm not finishing my kids' lunch, and I'm not, you know, finishing, you know, or grabbing a handful of goldfish mindlessly a couple times a day, that kind of stuff. So basically, I lost my train of thought, but what I was trying to say, I don't know, what were we talking about? No, but I think that, like, it's important to have a plan, like you said. And I think that what I'm going to start doing personally is, like, I've had success before where if I feel like I am, like, you know, I have an idea of what I want to have during the day, but then I find myself mindlessly snacking. If I go in and pre-plan, like, my snacks, my whatever, and pre-tracking, I think, is such a good tip if you are feeling out of control or you're feeling off track. If you can go in and kind of make a game plan, then you just stick to that. And if you can't, you know, because sometimes it's when you don't plan that it's the easiest to go and do the convenience foods or go and grab a handful of goldfish or a bowl of cereal or whatever it is, because you don't have that healthy, you know, when you have pre-cut, like, vegetables and fruit, or when you have, you know, grilled chicken that's marinating and ready to get cooked or something like that, it's easier to stay on track. That's 100%. And that's where I've been at lately, is that I've been kind of like, and it's the holidays and it's the everything that, so it's, you have a lot of things, you know, where you're going out to eat or you're going to other people's houses and stuff like that. So it's kind of out of that routine. So now I think my whole thing is I need to get back in that routine of preparing myself and prepping food and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's key. It's a key element to be able to understand the flow of your day. Like, clearly things can go out of your control and you have to punt, but, you know, most of the time, you know, even if the food is high point, you can always control the portion. Like, I mean, like, we control how much we eat, we sometimes cannot control what we eat if that's the only thing that's
Yeah.
there. Now you can always abstain for a few hours, but that will only work for so long. And at some point you have
Yeah.
to eat or whatever, you know,
I think
especially
it's
with,
making the best choice too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if it's the worst, the best of the worst, then it's better than eating the worst of the worst. Like you know, when you go to a party,
Yeah.
find the best option. And you know what? And like, that's another thing. Like going into, I mean, we just got out of the holiday season, but parties are happening all the time. And
Yeah.
like I always tell people, they're like, "Oh, I'm going. I have a work thing later, and what do I do?" Now that I'm back on Blue, I find it easier because there's so, and I'm sure people on Purple can feel the same way, is that I try to eat as many 0 point foods during breakfast and lunch, and then that way I have this whole bank of points going into like going out to eat or something like that, and try to keep it lighter during the day. And that's the whole thing, is that if you know you're going out to a heavy meal in the evening, just have something super light for lunch and breakfast, and that way you can make it work. You can always make it work on WW. That's the thing, is that there's nothing, I mean, even if you wanted to have like a piece of a bloomin' onion, like you could still bank for that, because that's what weeklies are for, you know what I mean? That kind of a thing. So
I think it's two Saturdays ago I went to Outback. I didn't get a bloomin' onion, but I went to Outback and made it work, you know?
Yeah,
and I had
so
breakfast. I had breakfast at IHOP that day, so
if you can have breakfast, if you can have breakfast,
and I got a blue dot, so woohoo!
That's what I'm saying. It can be done every time, single time. There's always an option, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked quite a bit about. Whoa, sorry. Did I stop? There we go. I want to know what you do for activity.
So this is something I joke about a lot because I am not a gym person. I'm going to be honest with everyone. I have 2 gym memberships. Okay?
More than one is not enough.
I have more than one. I have one because there's this gym that I go to. I've been one time. I have very good intentions with gym. I just don't have good, like, the ability to get to the gym is hard for me. And so I have a gym that has a gym daycare for like my kids, and that one I just signed up for recently, and that one I'm gonna start incorporating in my day once things kind of like settle down, because I was nervous about bringing my kids to the gym daycare, just because I don't know why, I was just nervous about it, but my kid's dad takes them and they really like it, so that makes me feel better. I think I was like nervous that they were going to be like scared or not like it or whatever, I don't know, but now that I know that they enjoy it, I plan on working that into my routine. Like drop my older son off at preschool in the morning, and I think I can take my younger son, drop him off at the daycare at the gym, and then go just do something for a half an hour or something like that, you know. So that's something I'm going to work on in the new year. That's a goal I have. And then and other than that, I really aim to try to get 10,000 steps a day, and just from running around with my kids and everything, I usually get pretty close to that. I used to be really into it, where I was like, if I was at 8,000, I'd be doing laps around my bedroom before I went to bed to try to get the 10,000 steps. Not as strict with that anymore, but it is something that I used to try to do. So that basically just kind of, I don't sit as much as I used to. I don't, you know, I'm always running around. I have a almost 2-year-old and an almost 4-year-old, so they're always running around and playing and things like that. So that's pretty much the activity that I get. I really want to look into like some other kind of group activity, or like, you know, I want to say Zumba. I want to be good at Zumba, and I just suck at Zumba. I want to be good at Zumba so bad. I love it. I'm just the most. I have 2 left feet. I just can't.
There's so many people on the gram that like that's their jam. I mean,
yeah, like my friend Dana is like the Zumba queen of Orange County, where I live. Like she loves Zumba. She has like 85 Zumba classes she's running. She is so good at it. She's so uplifting. She just has this, I've known her forever, like since elementary school. And she has the biggest, she's so tiny. She's like 4'10", but she has the biggest personality and the best moves and everything. And like, she's just fun package, like a tiny little package of fun. She's amazing. Yeah. And I want to be going to Zumba with her, but I suck at it. I'm like, can I have Zumba lessons, like private Zumba lessons? Can you just teach me all these moves and then I'll go to Zumba?
I mean, that's just like a dance party in the living room, right?
It really is. I know, but that's another thing that I want to start doing is I want to do the fitness marshal. I see a lot of people think of him, and I feel like I can just be like awkwardly dance. I mean, we've all seen my awkward dancing moves in the commercial. I mean, I've shown my dancing skills, but yeah, if I could do that in the privacy of my own home, I would be happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, what about you? What do? You go to the gym, right?
Oh, I do go to the gym, but I'm not like crazy about it. I did start a year ago, and that was my first time. My first year on WW, I didn't do anything, and then I started a year ago, and I went like 130 something times last year, about 3 times a week. And I only work out with the trainer 1 time a week, and the other 2 times a week, I just do similar workouts to what me and the trainer did. So a lot of it is just heavy lifting and strength training. I do a little bit
to get into that.
Yeah, I do a little bit of cardio to warm up and a little bit to cool off. But then I'm really try to keep it within a total time in the gym of 30 minutes. So I do what we call like rounds. So we go for like 3 minutes, 4 rounds. So I'll do 10 reps of about 8 exercises over 3 minutes, and then pause for a minute, and then do that again 4 times. And then I'm out of there. I go do cool down a little bit and leave. And that's enough for me. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do something that was super sustainable, because for one, I did not want to lose weight or try to lose weight because I was working out. And I did not want working out to be a bait for me to eat more.
Yes, I feel that is my problem with it.
Yeah. So
I get so hungry when I work out.
Yeah, I just wanted it to be a healthy, sustainable thing that I could do and incorporate into my life, because truly, I just wanted it to be a livable lifestyle that I do. So if I thought that, man, hey, you could go to the gym 5 or 6 times, I could always sneak in extra workouts and that kind of stuff. But why am I doing that? I'm actually doing the mental work to figure out why I would be doing that. And that's so I can have 2 more protein bars in the day because I worked out hard or whatever. And I didn't want to do that. So that's kind of always been my thing. So I went Monday and I went yesterday and I will go tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. So I went Monday, I went today, and I will go tomorrow. So those are my like 3 for the week. And I might occasionally go an extra one on a Saturday. Sometimes I go on Saturday because they have childcare, and I drop the kid off, and that's like free time.
Yes, exactly. See, I need to utilize that. I don't know why I'm scared. Like, that gives me like a nice break in the morning. Yeah. I need to try it out. I think that it's like once you do it and you realize it's like fine, it's like the initial thing that's like scary. Yeah. There's like really nothing to be scared of. That's like a dumb thing that I'm like, I don't know what I'm afraid of. But
I mean, I can give you exact copy duplicate of what the moves that I do, the 8 moves that I do on this deal, and you just go do that, and you do it at your weight, whatever weight you can do comfortably, 10 reps, that's what you do. And then
that's the thing is that I never really know what to do in the gym. And the one gym membership that I have, see, I had the other one, which was kind of like a Planet Fitness. It's like a cheap, 24-hour kind of thing. But I started this other one because it has a lot more amenities, and then it's like more of like but it's like a kind of bro bodybuilder gym. And it's very intimidating for me because everyone there is so like, they know what they're doing. They're like pros, and I'm like, I have no clue. So if I had something like that, like a guide, I think that would help me.
Well, I can almost guarantee you this, that if you walk in there, there's no one at that gym that had their picture on the big marquee at Times Square in the last week. Well, so there you go. You can walk in there with that and be like, you need to see this. This is who I am. Represent.
Am I nervous about the gym? Most days, yes.
So what did it mean for you when they sent you that email, the DM, whatever it was, and they said, hey, Lauren, we kind of want to fly you out to California and take some pictures of you because you're an all-star?
It was insane. So they messaged me and I had to try out. It wasn't like they just said like, hey, you're selected. Yeah. I had to send in a video of myself answering a bunch of questions and everything like that. And you had to go through a couple of rounds of getting selected for this. So I just did it and thought, well, they'll never call me for this. It's fine. And then I kept getting emails like, hey, we need you to do this next step and this next step. And finally they were like, hey, so we picked you. And I was like, like what? Yeah. So if you told me that any of this was going to happen like last year, I'd be like, yeah, okay, good times, right? I can't even tell you, like, and I share every time someone tags me, and I keep sharing it. And people are probably so annoyed. They're probably like, this is so annoying. You just keep sharing it. But like, it means a lot to me that people are excited for me because I'm so excited about it, and it's really fun for me. And I'm telling you that if you knew where I was a year ago to be now on the billboard in Times Square representing this company is like, it's mind blowing. And it makes me feel really proud because, I set a goal for myself and, you do that for yourself. But when someone else sees it, particularly the people that have created the program that saved your life, like, I mean, I was literally like, my blood pressure was bad. I was going downhill health-wise. Yeah. So this really saved me. And I really feel like it helped me in so many other ways besides losing weight. It truly did. Like, I feel like it has helped my, just, I mean, so many things. I can't even start to tell you how many things it makes.
Yeah.
I have now this whole community. I have all this support, all these things that I didn't have in place before. I feel more normal about like how I feel my relationship with food, because I realize that there's so many other people that are going through the same thing.
Yeah.
So like, you know, that was so special, and I feel very, very blessed and fortunate that I was chosen to do that. And it makes me feel good that everybody was excited. You know, that it was so nice that everybody was excited and everybody was rooting me on, and it felt awesome. So
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not positive how many WW studios there are in the United States, but your face is in every one of them.
I can't. It's like, what? Like, well, the most surreal thing that has ever happened to me was walking up to the WW studio to make Lifetime.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I saw a poster of myself in the studio. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's
like, it's so weird. It's very weird and very surreal.
Yeah. It's amazing. Well, I mean, you've done amazing things, and you know, it's just great. And the great part about it is the fruit of you losing weight is the person that you are gets to shine through, and you get to share that with us, and you inspire us. And you know, there's people that have lost amazing weight that is less than yours, and there's people that's lost more, but you've lost that for you, and you did it for you, and now you share it with your voice. So I just wondering, kind of like, what now the funnel of your life going through this prison that we call the gram and that kind of stuff, like in this community, like what has it meant for you to, like, one, be empowered to tell your story, and then see the fruit of you actually getting the bounce back of saying, you inspire me so much, and you told me this and you taught me that, and like, you know, I think if you're a coach or whatever, you kind of expect that in meetings and things, but like on the gram from somebody that I don't even know, or maybe even somebody I didn't know saw something I said and they're like, oh my gosh, those words meant so much to me. Like, what does it mean to you?
It's incredible, because when I started this Instagram only in June, and I made it because I was starting to talk a lot about WW on my personal Instagram, and I felt like, you know, maybe not everyone cares about that, and I also just basically wanted a feed of people who were either OWW ambassadors or people that were having a lot of success in the plan, because I wanted to see people that had done it, and I wanted to be motivated by that, just like everybody who follows anybody that's doing the program. And so when I started following these people and I started interacting with WW ambassadors and other people and stuff like that, and kind of, you know, I didn't try to like throw myself into the community. I just kind of like observed, and I interacted the best I could. And for whatever reason, people warmed up to me very quickly, and I kind of talk the way I talk in my stories now is how I've talked since day one when I had 23 followers. I pretended like I had an audience then, because I like talking. I like talking about the program, and it made me feel good to talk about my ups, my downs, whatever. And it was just a way to vent and hold myself accountable. And honestly, like my scale pics where I take a picture of my feet, you know, every week, I used to do that every Friday. That was the greatest thing I ever did for myself, because as my audience of people that were following me grew, that was like more and more people, more eyes on me. And that really was like, well, I can't really go too crazy, because you got to weigh in on Friday and you got to take that picture. So that was wonderful, and that is how it benefited me, but like in terms of weight loss. But the best thing ever is to go from being someone that was looking for someone like how I am now, like, you know, I have a lot of followers and stuff like that. I was just to go from being the person that was searching for motivation and inspiration to be able to be the person that's motivating and inspiring people is literally the greatest feeling in the entire world.
Absolutely.
It means everything to me. When someone messages me and they ask me for help and they're looking for motivation or they're looking for advice or whatever, and I'm able to help them, and they say, oh my God, I never thought about it like that, or like, oh my God, or like I'll tell someone something and then like 5 weeks later they're like, hey, just want you to know I'm down 15 pounds. I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, I just really thank you so much, like you've helped me so much on your journey. That is worth it in spades. Like I could do this all day long, every day, just because I love to help people, and I love to make people feel good about themselves, and I like to build people up and boost them. And you know, if anyone needs a cheerleader, I got you. You know what I mean? Like that's my favorite thing ever, and that's my personality. I'm like, this isn't how I am just on here. Like I am a funny person all the time. I'm a little bit shyer in real life, but but with my friends and stuff like that, like I love cheering people up, and I love making people laugh and motivating them and giving them a boost when they need it. And that's just who I am, and that's who I've always been. So to be able to have a platform to do that
Yeah.
to so many more people now is incredible. And it makes me feel so good because I've always felt like, that is something that makes me feel like gives me self-esteem, is the feeling that I can help someone. And so that really is special to me. And I don't take it for granted at all. Like the commercial and everything is great. And that made me feel good, but nothing makes me feel better than helping other people and motivating them and showing them that it's possible, that if I can do it, and I can be going through a lot of crazy times, like everybody goes through all these crazy times. But like, if I can go through that and still maintain and still lose and still have success on the plan, and I'm just a regular old person, I'm a regular old mom with 2 little kids who go through all the same crap that everybody else does, and I can lose the weight, and you can too, you just got to do it. And and I've been there where I'm like, I can't get out of my own way. I just keep messing up, and I've done that too. So I've been on all the different, I've been on every level of this whole thing. And so it's easy to relate to other people and understand where they're coming from when they come to me. And I think that's probably why people find me relatable, is that I haven't always had success. I've lost weight, I've gained weight. I wasn't always thin, and then all of a sudden I just had to lose 30 pounds. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying, I've been on every end of the spectrum of weight, and I get it. So
and the truth about what it is, and the fact that it's an ever-changing journey, and it is a long journey, and mile 1 may not look anything like mile 56 or whatever, and day 356 surely won't look like the first week.
No.
So as you go through this, like, people find us inspiring, but it's not necessarily because I toss out a number. They're like, oh, I'm inspired by that number. That number is great, and it represents a large thing. But hopefully I'm inspiring because I talk and I share my story and I'm engaging.
Yeah.
And I want to help people, and I will give them advice. And the truth about all the advice and all this stuff is, these people that are watching, that maybe they've only lost 20 pounds or maybe they've only lost 5, people need to hear that, because that is the fruit of what grows the early part of the journey. And then people need to hear why they've lost 25 pounds. And people need to hear why they lost 50. And as we continue on, you continue to share, because things change. And it's not always the same. And you can't just continue to change those one thing that causes you to lose 10 pounds. It's not going to cause you to lose the next 10. You're going to continue to grow and move things around and shift it and make it work and navigate through. It's not just 1.2 pounds for every week, no matter what you eat, as long as and that's navigating safely through the blue dot thing, because yes, I get blue dots every day, but I still have those ups and downs, and it goes like, my journey is going down over long periods of time, but it still has some of this, and it still, sometimes it goes like this straight across for a few weeks.
Exactly. And that's the thing, that I think that it's good when you can see someone else's journey, and you can see that someone else has had a lot of success, and it hasn't always been like a downhill ski slope. And because I think that people, you can want what you want it right now. You don't want to have to work too hard for it. And when it doesn't come right away, it's easy to throw in the towel. And it's just human nature. But I think that if we can just realize that stopping's not getting you anywhere sooner, not losing what you think like, if you just give yourself a number and a date and say, I have to lose 30 pounds by next September or whatever. I hate those things when people post, like, if anybody can post whatever the hell they want, but I think it's so discouraging to post things that are like, October, 30 pounds by October 31st. And it's like squares and people fill it in every week. Like, what happens if you lost half of what you thought you wanted to lose? So you're going to feel bad about that? That's crazy, because you still lost. You didn't gain. You didn't, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you have to celebrate every single ounce in this journey. You have to give yourself credit for every single loss. If someone messages me and they're like, I only lost 7 pounds this month, and I'm like, what? That's great.
It's amazing.
That's amazing. Like, there's so many. It's never going to be, if it was easy, like, everybody would do it. You know what I mean? Like, there wouldn't be any overweight people if it was super easy to do. It's always easier to do the, like, run to, I don't know. It's just, you have to celebrate every little thing. And even if you should, if you maintain on a week, that's something to celebrate, because you didn't go up. You know what I mean? So that's the thing, is that just, like, changing that whole mindset from, like, it being a diet to being a lifestyle, and knowing that, like, it's going to be like this, but as long as the general trend is that it's eventually going down, that's the goal. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
So we got about 10 minutes before Instagram shuts
okay.
us off. So we haven't talked, it's crazy. We went 50 minutes already and we haven't even talked necessarily about specific foods.
Okay.
How
Hit me.
great is WW? You don't have to talk about food to have a good conversation
Exactly.
about WW.
Exactly.
But I just want to always ask, because I try to cover all three tenets in each one, and just really like, what are your like go-to foods, and how do you like make food work for you?
So my favorite foods in general are breakfast foods.
Okay.
I love breakfast. So that is why I like being back on blue, because I love eggs, and being on green was cool for the holidays, but like I don't want to count eggs.
Yeah.
So because I like eggs, and eggs fill me up, and eggs will keep me full longer than like cereal or any kind of like bread product or anything like that. I can't eat a bagel for breakfast. If I eat a bagel for breakfast,
But
you're
gonna
being back on. I just started eating these Tyson. Tyson makes these chicken thighs, but they're like teriyaki, and they're only 3 points a piece, but they're delicious, and they cook up really nice in the air fryer, and they have pretty good the nutrition info on them is good. So I like those, and I've been making like fake takeout with that. Like I'll use the Trader Joe's fried rice, and just make it look like it tastes like Chinese, small Chinese food, so that kind of a thing. Most of the things that I eat on a regular basis I posted in my feed, because I literally I wish I was more adventurous. Like I see so many girls, they're out there, or guys too, they're making up new things all the time, and I just I get not in a rut, but I just get in like a habit of eating the same thing, because I'm like, I know the points, I know how to make it.
So how is that different from like 2 years ago? Like what are you actually doing?
I was going out to eat all the time.
Okay.
All the time. Takeout, ordering in, going through the drive-through. Like I eat home so much more now. Like I was eating out 85% of the time before. I was like, first I was wasting so much money on eating out. But like now I enjoy grocery shopping, making those staple meals from my, food that I know my kids will eat and everything like that. And it's something that I enjoy doing. It's just part of my routine now, where before, it was easier to be like, pack my kid up in the car before I had 2 kids, pack my kid up in the car, meet my husband at the time out, and, go grab something at a restaurant. It was just so much easier, or have Tom grab something on the way home or something like that, because I just hated cooking. I just was not, and it was hard too, because I don't know, I don't really talk about this much, but my, Tom literally lost, I think when James, my oldest son, was born, Tom weighed almost 300 pounds, and he lost about 120 pounds within the first year of James being born. So I was not on I started losing weight, but by the time I got pregnant with Nick, he was still on this losing weight thing, and was very, very health conscious, and was eating very healthily. And it was hard for me, because when I was pregnant, I was not eating healthy at all, as we know, because I gained 80 pounds. So it was frustrating, because I wanted to cook all the bad things, and then he didn't want to eat them. So we'd go and get something out where he could get what he wanted to eat, and I could get whatever crap I wanted to eat. So but now I focus way more on cooking at home, and that makes a big difference. Eating out at a restaurant is so hard, because even if you're making good choices, you're still not in control of what their ingredients are, the portions and everything. So you're just really guessing no matter what, whenever you go out. So
it's funny how you can totally change from what was easy and acceptable to now is almost like it's obnoxious, and it's now easier to do what I once thought was harder. That's such a great behavior change.
100%.
All right, so we got a few minutes left. So one thing is, since you were talking about, you just started your Instagram, and we found each other, I think, in June or whatever. What was kind of your first impression of me? And then if you have any questions, you can ask me. I always leave the last 2 or 3 minutes for people to ask questions of me.
Okay. So I remember finding you and just really liking your stories, because I thought that they were very motivating, and I thought you were very real, which I like. And I think you were one of the first, at least, within the first month of me having my Instagram, that I followed. So I think that I love that you do these lives. I love that you do you're always very interactive. you're tagging people and stop dropping chugs, and like, just, I feel like you're like a one man hype man. You're just out there hyping us all up.
That's right.
And so I really like that about you. And so that was my first impression, was that I thought that you were very motivating. And
Yeah.
I think you still are. So what, let's see. What do you do for work? What do you do for a living?
I work for a company that is mostly a dental support company. So we mostly do everything for dentist offices around the country outside of the mouth. So we let the dentists do this stuff, and we do everything else, such as real estate, negotiation, insurance, websites, phone system support. So I do kind of all operations for a large company and that kind of stuff. Yep.
That's interesting. I worked for a dentist's office one time. Yeah, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So cool. We have that in common.
And then I also work for WW. And
oh, right. You're a coach, right?
I'm a coach, and I just coach one meeting a week, and then I also guide one meeting a week. So I check people in on Mondays, and I coach people on Wednesdays. And then I am a staff musician at a church.
Very nice.
Yep.
That's very cool. How long have you been a coach for?
I hired on with WW in December of 2018, and I went to coach training this coming week will be 1 year. Wow. So I've been a coach for a year.
That's so cool. What's your favorite thing about being a coach?
The favorite thing about being a coach, I think it's just the intimate connection with those people in the room and just getting to talk to them. Most of the time, the things that I get to say to people, it's very inspiring. But when you're coaching, of course, you've been to workshops and stuff. Like the coach is not necessarily supposed to be the most inspiring person in the room. The coach gets to like hear someone's comment and then ask subsequent questions that allows for the people to discover the stuff. So it's a cool twist, and I somewhat take the approach in these lives kind of like that, but I also share a whole lot more about myself on here than I would in a workshop. So it's a really cool thing because I love to hear someone say something and then want to know. It's just kind of my natural thing to want to know, well, why do they say that? And what if they thought about it from this? So let's say this question and make them think about this way. And there's just so much self-discovery that can happen in a meeting room, far beyond of, well, what's your best trick to figure out how to